Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I should have known something was wrong when I pulled into the driveway and the porch light was off. It was my 27th birthday, the day after Thanksgiving. The house stood in silence. No warm glow, no laughter, no hint of celebration. Just the November cold clawing at my coat. Inside, the kitchen smelled of reheated leftovers. My mother, Scarlett, didn't look up from her glass of red wine. My father, Dennis, sat at the table, scrolling his phone. Neither greeted me. No gift, no cake, no card. Happy birthday to me, I muttered, setting down the box I picked up on the way home. A single-layer vanilla cake with crooked red icing that read Molly. Dennis looked up and snorted. You're late. For what? I asked, confused. Scarlett stood then, quietly moving toward the hallway. She returned with a suitcase. Mine. What is this? My throat tightened. You're too big to live off others, Dennis said flatly, pushing his chair back with a loud scrape. There's no place for freeloaders in our house. My mouth opened, closed. I pay the utilities. The mortgage shortfall. Your surgery last year. Scarlett cut in, her voice brittle. You're 27. Time to grow up. Something inside me stilled. I looked at the home I had funded, the renovated kitchen, the new roof I paid for last spring. Every corner whispered of sacrifice, of being used. I walked to the counter, picked up my cake, and turned. Got it. Dennis smirked. Scarlett looked away. Upstairs, I packed in silence. No tears, just a cold, mechanical calm. As I zipped my bag, the candle on the cake tilted in the box. One candle missing. Symbolic. One person missing. Me. I slept in my car that night, parked behind the 24-hour pharmacy, engine off, wrapped in 2 coats and shame. My phone buzzed relentlessly, missed calls from unknown numbers, a few from home. I didn't answer. I watched the frost bloom on the windshield instead, each flake reminding me how cold they had been long before they told me to leave. At sunrise, I drove to the nearest cafe and ordered the cheapest coffee they had. The heat from the paper cup stung my palms. My laptop blinked awake, and so did I. They thought I'd crawl back. Instead, I logged into every account I had owned. Click. The electricity bill, under my name for the past 3 years, cancelled. Click. The joint bank account Scarlett insisted we keep for emergencies, closed. Click. Gas, water, internet, all gone. By the time I reached the mortgage overpayment records, my heart had stopped aching. I wasn't angry. I was done. My best friend Flora messaged me. Flora, where are you? Me? Freezing the leeches out of my life. She called immediately. You okay? I hesitated. No, but I will be. She exhaled on the other end, then said gently, You always saved everyone, Mole. Now save yourself. Come stay with me, and then we'll find a place for you to rent. I sat there for a moment, staring at the last auto payment left. The credit card I'd let them use for groceries. They'd maxed it out buying new patio furniture. Click. Frozen. A sick satisfaction bloomed in my chest. They wanted me gone. Now they'd feel what that meant. No heat, no cable, no invisible safety net. My phone buzzed again. A voicemail from Dennis. You'll regret this, Molly. You're turning your back on family. I stared out the window, where early shoppers bustled under twinkling lights. I whispered aloud to no one. I never had a family, just leeches in the guise of parents whom I helped to survive. And now? Now they could learn to survive without me. I left the cafe, got into my car, and drove to Flora's. The next day, sitting in Flora's apartment, I stumbled upon some interesting posts on Facebook. The first post hit my screen like a slap. A photo of my childhood home with the lights off, captioned in all caps. Abandoned by our DAUJHER on Thanksgiving weekend. Dozens of comments followed. Family friends, old neighbors, strangers. How heartless. Kids these days have no loyalty. She'll regret it when they're gone. I didn't cry. I opened a new folder titled Receipts. Within an hour, I compiled years of proof. Transfers, bills, contracts, screenshots, every dollar, every emergency covered by me. The new roof, $14,700. The kitchen remodel, $9,200. My dad's dental surgery, Paid in cash from my savings. I opened social media. Caption. Here's the truth about the freeloader they kicked out on her birthday. I hit post. It spread like wildfire. The narrative flipped fast. Now the comments read, "This is heartbreaking. They used her. Molly, you deserved better." That night my inbox filled with apologies from people who had believed the lies. Even my cousin Shayla messaged me. "They always made you the scapegoat. I'm sorry I stayed quiet." But the most unexpected message came from a woman I didn't know. "Gabriella Ellis, Esquire. You have a case. Financial coercion. Emotional abuse. If you want help, I'm here." We met at a quiet cafe. She was sharp-eyed, soft-spoken, and didn't flinch once as I laid out the twisted history. "They forged your signature on those loan documents," she said, tapping a printed page. "That's not just cruel. That's illegal." I blinked. I just wanted them to stop lying. "Then let's start telling the truth in court." 3 days later, Dennis filed a civil suit against me for emotional damages. Gabriella smiled when she saw the papers. "Perfect, now we counter." I looked down at the stack of evidence in front of me, suddenly breathing easier. For the first time in years, I wasn't just surviving. I was standing up. Courtroom smelled of cold coffee and old linoleum. Dennis and Scarlett sat across from me, dressed in somber black. My father tapped a cane for dramatic effect, though I'd never seen him use one before. Scarlett clutched a tissue like she was mourning a daughter she herself had discarded. Their lawyer began, voice trembling. She abandoned her aging parents, leaving them in financial and emotional ruin. I didn't flinch. Gabriella rose, her voice firm. "We'll show that Molly didn't abandon anyone. She freed herself from sustained financial and emotional abuse." The judge leaned forward. We presented the evidence, transfers, receipts, messages. Gabriella spoke like a scalpel. For 5 years, she paid their bills, covered emergencies, and even funded major renovations. Not once did they call it a loan. Not once did they thank her. Scarlett's voice cracked. It was her duty. She lived under our roof. "She paid rent," Gabriella replied. "Far more than market value." A murmur swept the room. Dennis slammed a hand on the table. "She's a liar. Always ungrateful." The judge raised a hand. "Mr. Blake, control yourself." Gabriella slid the final document across the table. These loan applications were signed with Molly's name, but not her handwriting. A certified analyst confirmed Dennis forged them. "That's fraud." Silence. Scarlett turned pale. Dennis's cane slipped to the floor. The judge cleared his throat. "I need time to deliberate, but this evidence strongly supports Ms. Blake's counterclaim." Outside the courthouse, Gabriella turned to me. "They built their story on your silence. Today, that silence ended." I looked up at the sky, the courthouse shrinking behind me. "They tried to break me," I said quietly, "but all they did was set me free." The rented apartment was small, but it was mine. No creaking floorboards soaked in resentment. No shadows of raised voices behind every door. Just soft morning light, quiet, and the hum of a kettle. Flora arrived with paint samples and coffee. "I still can't believe it's over," she said, handing me a mug. "It's not over," I smiled. "It's just finally beginning." We painted in silence for a while, the soft strokes soothing. My phone buzzed. Another voicemail from my father, full of whimpering half-apologies and veiled accusations. I deleted it. "They're desperate now," Flora said, not looking up. "They should be," I replied. "They lost the daughter who paid for everything but never got a birthday cake." Later, I opened a locked box I hadn't touched in years. Inside was a photo of me at 16, braces and hopeful eyes, before the weight of obligation bent my spine. "I wish she knew," I whispered. "She does," Flora said gently. I taped that photo to the fridge. No more shame. No more silence. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat by the window, feeling the warmth of a quiet, earned peace. I didn't need their love to be whole. I was never too much. I was never a burden. They are to blame for what they have ended up with.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.